Hello, class. Well, we did the book. Now it's time for the workbook. Time to practice. As always, if you like my work, if you find it valuable, make sure to like and subscribe. And you know the drill. Let's learn together. This is part 3B. Incredibly short stories. Part 1. Reading. Everybody, look at the pictures. A, B, C, D. These are some names. What do they do? What's their job? For example, Philip Pullman, British author. The other one, Japanese author and translator. So I need you to read the article about different writers and their writing styles. By style, I mean genre and the way they develop their writings. Which one of them only works in the morning? Easy, isn't it? Scan and find me the answer.
A few minutes later.
Very good. Let's take our time and read this together. Me and you. Let me get my laser. How do writers write? All writers have their own particular ways of getting words down. A favorite pen, a special place, even a certain time of day. 4 famous writers reveal their secrets. Okay, very good. Oh, but I'm not very good with names, but let's try it. Michael Morpurgo, British children's author. I had problems some years ago sitting at a desk because I got pains in my wrist and shoulder. So I decided to copy my writing hero Robert Louis Stevenson instead, and found his way worked. Okay, so what did he do? Now, when I have a story in my head, I go to bed with a small notebook, like the one children are given in elementary school, and fill it up. I keep my manuscripts in the refrigerator just in case the house burns down. In the refrigerator? That seems funny. All right. Now, as for B, Susan Collins, American screenwriter and novelist. I grab some cereal and sit down to work as soon as possible. The more distractions I have to deal with before I actually begin writing, the harder focusing on the story becomes. Then I work until I'm tapped out, usually sometime in the early afternoon. If I actually write 3 to 5 hours, that's a productive day. Some days, all I do is stare at the wall. That can be productive too, if you're working out character and plot problems. All right? The rest of the time, I walk around with the story slipping in and out of my thoughts. All right, very good. Tapped out means tired or excited, but usually, if you watch UFC, when they get into a chokehold, they tap out. Yes. All right. C. Haruki Murakami, Japanese author and translator. When I'm in the process of writing a novel, I get up at 4 a.m. and write for 5 to 6 hours. In the afternoon, I run for 6 miles or swim for a mile, or do both. Then I read a bit and listen to some music. I go to bed at 9 p.m. I keep to this routine every day without variation. The repetition itself becomes the important thing. It's a form of hypnotism, and it helps me reach a deeper state of mind. You know what hypnotism is, right? Somebody, with a watch does this, and you follow it, and you become hypnotized. Philip Pullman, British author. This name is so familiar with me. I don't know, maybe I've read something. Let's check. I sit down to write by hand in ballpoint on A4 narrow-lined paper after breakfast and work through till lunch with a break for coffee and reading mail. Then I have lunch and watch Neighbors. Invaluable. In the, I don't know what that is. It's an Australian soap opera. Yeah, I was surprised as well. In the afternoon, I read or take the dogs for a walk or do something physically constructive. In the evening, I finish the 3 pages, which is my daily task. Or if I finish them in the morning, I do whatever journalism or reviewing or lecture planning I have in hand. All right, that seems interesting. Very good. All right, so which one of them only works in the morning? Well, the Japanese one, Haruki Murakami. But we're not done yet. I need you to read the article again and match each writer from A to D, all right, to a sentence. For example, look, who says or said that he or she exercises after writing. So again, this is your turn. I'll wait for you.
A few moments later.
So far, so good. Check your answers with your friends. No rush. So, who says or said that he or she exercises after writing? Well, it's Haruki Murakami. Who says or said that he or she had days when they do not write anything? Well, I guess it's B. She mentioned looking at the walls, at the ceiling, doing nothing. Who says or said that he or she writes a minimum number of pages every day? It's D. Philip Pullman. And last one, I guess the answer is obvious, but he or she finds that they can concentrate better when they are in bed. Yeah. The British children's author, Michael Morpurgo or something. I don't know. I'm not very good with reading. Now, just one more thing. There are some highlighted words. Match them with their definition. Again, back to you, buddy.
12 seconds later.
Let's answer it together. So, my sewing machine wasn't working, so I had to mend my skirt by hand. Mend means fixing. Number 2, I gave my son the jug and told him to fill it up with water. Number 3, I was so late I only had time to grab my coat and rush out of the door. Number 4, the psychologist gave her some constructive advice on how to deal with her teenage son. Number 5, he finds it difficult to study at home because there are too many distractions. And number 6, she's in a very confused state of mind, so she doesn't know whether to stay or go. And that's all there is to it for the reading part. But the practice continues. Hang in there. It's time for grammar. You remember adverbs and adverbial phrases. We did them in the book, so this is just a reminder. Right or wrong. If it's right, it's a check, and if it's wrong, it's an X. Very good. For example, Jack played Jack played extremely well, so he won the tennis finals. Well, since this is the first exercise in the grammar part, let's do it together. But next one is yours. Flying is a very safe way to travel. Well, it's okay. Number 3, my brother had an accident because he was driving too fast. It's okay as well. Number 4, I speak Spanish really badly. Nobody can understand me when I speak it. Number 5, she works hard and she's very ambitious too. So hardly is not the case here. Hard. Is this word spelled correctly here? It's true. It's okay. His parents have been happily married for almost 40 years. Number 8, my friend sings well, but she'll never be a professional. Very good. Now, I did my part. Next one is yours. Let's see what you got. Your turn, as I mentioned before. Now, you're going to order the words to make sentences. For example, look. I, umbrella, and had luckily taken. Luckily I had taken an umbrella. As you can see, it's raining here, right? Relax, stop the video, take your time, do it yourself. No rush, just focus. All right, very good. And if you have done it, I need you to check with your partner. Do it with your partner. Learn from each other. Complete each other. Very good. Number 2, well, let's see. Number 2, my daughter is hardly ever sick. Number 3, his parents are retiring next year. Number 4, the boy was extremely rude to his teacher. Number 5, my brother eats very poorly. Number 6, apparently, as it is obvious, James is getting divorced. And number 7, I would have never thought you were thirsty. Well, very good. But we have another one. Follow me there. All right, let's get this over with. Put the adverbs or adverbial phrases in the correct place, in the right place in each sentence. Okay? For example, he usually gets up immediately when his alarm clock rings. Number 2, although she studies a lot, she hardly ever goes to the library. All right? Number 3, unfortunately, I crashed my car last week. Number 4, ideally, we should leave early tomorrow. Number 5, I can hardly understand a word when people speak English quickly. 6, my brother almost forgot his girlfriend's birthday yesterday. Number 7, surprisingly, it didn't rain at all while we were in Seattle. And number 8, we're incredibly tired because we went to bed late last night. And that's all there is to it for the grammar exercises. Now let's check your vocabulary. How much have you learned? Vocabulary. Well, you're just going to circle the correct answer. For example, look at number 1. My father worked very hard all his life. All right. The rest is yours. Stop the video. Do it together. Do it with your friends. Or you can do it yourself, then check with your friend. Doesn't make any difference. However, you can learn it easily. Very good. Now it's my turn again. Number 2, I haven't seen Tyler lately. Have you? Number 3, I can't stand most TV shows, especially reality shows. Number 4, Dave nearly broke his leg skiing in the Rockies. Number 5, please don't tell me what happens because I haven't read the book yet. Number 6, I'm not going to Sam's party. I hardly know him. He's your friend, not mine. Number 7, do you ever wear jeans to work? Number 8, do your parents live near here? No, they live about 30 miles away. Number 9, Ellie ate all her lunch, even the vegetables. Number 10, Alan's feet are so big that his shoes are specially made for him. Number 11, my cousin is a doctor and right now she's working in Africa. Working in Africa. Maybe volunteer work. Number 12, I can't wait to find out what happens at the end of this book. And that's all there is to it. But let's continue. Well, pronunciation. I know that you find it very boring. But if you want to speak naturally, like an American, you have to pay attention to these. So we have stress on the first syllable, absolutely. Stress on the second syllable, and a stress on the third syllable. Now, I'm not telling you to memorize all this, write them down. No, just train your ear. How to do it? Well, let's listen and do it together.
File 3B, Pronunciation B. 1. Stress on first syllable.
Absolutely. definitely, fortunately, obviously.
2. Stress on second syllable.
Apparently. Eventually. Immediately. Incredibly. Successfully. Surprisingly.
3. Stress on third syllable.
Insecurely.
All right, very good. So they ask me, teacher, how can I learn them? Just listen and repeat. Nothing else. Listen and repeat. You can play this multiple times. I've attached the slides down there, so you can use the slides as well. Very good. Now let's go to the last part of this show. The last set in the house, and you can see my headphones. So we're going to do a little listening. First of all, look at the pictures. What do you see? Somebody's reading on tablet. Someone is reading a book. Somebody's reading a story to a child. Somebody's reading while doing a little bit of cardio on the bike. So listen to 5 speakers talk about reading. Which two read the most? The speakers, you have to say the numbers. Okay, so we have 5 speakers. Listen and write the numbers of those speakers. Which two read the most? Well, let's see.
File 3B. Listening. Speaker 1. I only ever have time to read when I'm on vacation, but it's something that I really look forward to. I always make a point of picking up 2 or 3 of the latest bestsellers from my local bookstore. When I'm away, I take my book with me to the beach or down to the pool, and then I spend all day lying in the sun reading. What better way to relax and completely disconnect from life back home? Speaker 2.
I spend a lot of time reading when I'm commuting to and from my job. The trip takes about an hour and a half each way, first on the train and then on the subway. I usually manage to get a seat on the train because it's one of the first stops. As soon as I sit down, I take out my e-reader and fall into the latest novel I'm reading. I'm a big fan of historical novels, and I get through at least 1 book a week.
Speaker 3.
I'm studying civil engineering in college, so I have to do a lot of reading, though none of it is for pleasure. At the start of the semester, they gave us a book list as long as my arm, but I haven't read all the books on it yet. Apart from academic books, I read a lot on the internet. There are a lot of web pages related to my studies, some of them better than others. I do most of my reading in my room, although I sometimes go to the library.
Speaker 4.
This may sound strange, but I do most of my reading when I'm at the gym. Actually, for me, it's more of a case of listening than reading, because I always take an audiobook with me. I download the book onto my MP3 player so that I can listen to it while I'm on a spin bike. I do a workout that is 50 minutes to an hour long, so my audiobook helps me pass the time. I'm really into crime fiction, so I usually listen to detective stories.
All right, very good.
Speaker 5.
Last one.
I used to read a lot, but now I can't because I have 2 small children who take up all my time. The only reading I do these days are children's stories. My sons are 3 and 5, and neither of them will go to sleep without their bedtime story. Every night it's the same routine: bath, dinner, story. The only thing that changes is whose bed we lie on. Their favorite is The Hungry Caterpillar, but I like the Dr. Seuss stories.
All right, very good. So check your answers with your friends. Very good. So speakers 2 and 3 read the most. Now, you're going to listen again one more time and fill in the blanks. For example, speaker 1, 2, 3, and 4. What do they read? For example, speaker 1 says bestsellers. Where do they read it? So, what they read and where they read. Listen and fill in the chart. This is your last exercise for today. Let's do it.
File 3B. Listening. Speaker 1. I only ever have time to read when I'm on vacation, but it's something that I really look forward to. I always make a point of picking up 2 or 3 of the latest bestsellers from my local bookstore. When I'm away, I take my book with me to the beach or down to the pool, and then I spend all day lying in the sun reading. What better way to relax and completely disconnect from life back home? Speaker 2.
I spend a lot of time reading when I'm commuting to and from my job. The trip takes about an hour and a half each way, first on the train and then on the subway. I usually manage to get a seat on the train because it's one of the first stops. As soon as I sit down, I take out my e-reader and fall into the latest novel I'm reading. I'm a big fan of historical novels, and I get through at least 1 book a week.
Speaker 3.
I'm studying civil engineering in college, so I have to do a lot of reading, though none of it is for pleasure. At the start of the semester, they gave us a book list as long as my arm, but I haven't read all the books on it yet. Apart from academic books, I read a lot on the internet. There are a lot of web pages related to my studies, some of them better than others. I do most of my reading in my room, although I sometimes go to the library.
Speaker 4.
This may sound strange, but I do most of my reading when I'm at the gym. Actually, for me, it's more of a case of listening than reading, because I always take an audiobook with me. I download the book onto my MP3 player so that I can listen to it while I'm on a spin bike. I do a workout that is 50 minutes to an hour long, so my audiobook helps me pass the time. I'm really into crime fiction, so I usually listen to detective stories.
Speaker 5.
I used to read a lot, but now I can't because I have 2 small children who take up all my time. The only reading I do these days are children's stories. My sons are 3 and 5, and neither of them will go to sleep without their bedtime story. Every night it's the same routine: bath, dinner, story. The only thing that changes is whose bed we lie on. Their favorite is The Hungry Caterpillar, but I like the Dr. Seuss stories.
All right, very good. So, speaker 1 like bestsellers and on the beach or in the pool. Speaker 2, historical novels on public transportation. And 3, academic books, web pages, his room or at the library. Speaker 4, detective stories at the gym. And speaker 5, children's stories in bed. Well done. You never cease to amaze me. You see, you just have to make it your routine on a daily basis. And that's it for today's practice. Everybody, thank you for watching. I read all your comments. If I reply with a little delay, I'm very busy, but I'll try to do my best. And I will try to upload on a daily basis. As always, if you have any question, you can comment down below and I will get back to you. And I've also attached this slide down there with the link to the drive. So if you want to even teach it to someone else, you can use the slides as well. As always, I will try my best to create value as long as I live. All of us are passengers. So as long as you're on this ride, create value. If you're good at something, teach it. Do something positive. Let them remember you in a good way. Because I know once we die, the only thing that stays here is a good name. Until then, my friends, bye-bye.